but not only that, like in order to deal with any problem, you got to go to the root. The root is childhood. The root is that thing that you push far away. And I think that's one of the reasons that it's hard. It's hard to date nowadays.
Right.
Because so many people will not deal with issues that stem from childhood.
Tamara, what's up?
Hey, Khalid.
Hey, Mama. Very excited to have you back. This is actually the first sequel we've ever had to a Kids Don't Forget interview. So very excited to have you back. And you were my first ever interview.
Yes, I was.
I appreciate you for riding with me from the very beginning.
Definitely.
On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the worst ever and 10 being the best possible, how would you personally rate your childhood?
My childhood was the bomb. You know, it was the bomb because no matter what was going on, I had a childhood.
Okay.
Now, I grew up a little more independent than my children, but, you know, that was the cards that I was dealt. But I had friends that I'm friends with till today.
What number would you give it? What number would you give your childhood on a scale of 1 to 10?
I may have to say about a 9.
Really? Really, a 9?
I
Okay.
could say a 9, yeah.
What would you think would have made it a 10? Like, what would have had to happen for you to say it was a 10?
Some of the things that I went through that I didn't like.
Okay.
You know, like family things, you know, things that, you know, I felt like my mom should have protected me or been around, you know, things of that nature.
Okay. Okay.
But other than that, it's not so much how the childhood was made. Excuse me, it was more or less how I was able to make it. You know,
Okay.
any
Okay.
situation that you're in, you can either make the best of it or the worst of it.
Right.
So I chose to always make the best of everything as a child. And I appreciate you allowing me to be the first to do the sequel. Remember, we talked about that.
Right. How's life been since we did that first filming?
Well, I guess kind of maybe a recap. When we did that filming, I had just cut my hair.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember or not, but it was like very short.
Okay.
Now look at it. That onion juice been working, y'all.
Wow.
But I mean, everything has been good. You know, I've just put out my third book, but first children's book.
Okay.
And then I finally finished the movie.
Okay.
Fall in Love with the Devil.
Really?
Finally
Congratulations.
finished the movie, yes.
You were promoting the book the last time. Okay.
And now promoting the movie.
Wow.
And not only the movie, but I wrote a sequel.
Okay.
And the first movie it's in the editing phases.
Okay.
So that's being done now. So I'm ready to get that out there so we can have a premiere and the red carpet and all that type of stuff. But I done already wrote a sequel. So now, you know, just trying to get some grants or, you know, save up or something like that so that we can get this sequel done as well.
I
just couldn't stop. On top of other things that I'm in, and I just landed a leading role in a film. So
okay. Congratulations.
I've been busy.
Clearly. Clearly.
And you seen me play that harp the other day.
You do. You played a harp. You taught yourself, right?
I'm still learning.
Okay.
I'm still learning, but the thing about it is, my best girlfriend Angelita, excuse me, she
Shout out to Angelita.
Yes, girlfriend, that's my girl right there. She had me to play my harp at her party, so her 50th birthday party. But the thing about it is, I've never performed playing that harp in front of nobody, so it was a blessing to sit there and perform Remnants of Love, which is the song that I made specifically for the movie Falling in Love with the Devil.
Okay.
I actually played that at her birthday party.
Were you nervous?
Not really.
Nah.
But I didn't have my glasses on, so it was kind of hard for me to see the strings.
Right.
So I'm doing it from memory and listening. I messed that song up, but I kind of still hit things and kept on going. Somebody always said, nobody know you mess up a song except for you.
Exactly. I played the saxophone growing up, and nobody knew I was making mistakes.
So, they were like, "Oh, it was amazing. It's wonderful. You were good." And inside I'm crying like I messed up. But hey, I played the video back, and it wasn't that bad.
Right.
I knew where I messed up at, but in essence, I redeemed myself, from that. I hit a note, and I know it's wrong. I hit another note, and I just kept on going, and it flowed.
So you're a mother, a self-taught harp player, an actress, a writer,
Filmmaker.
filmmaker.
Yeah, production assistant.
You're just an all-around talented woman.
Listen, and I'm enjoying it.
So here's the point. So like a lot of this drive still stems back from growing up, from when you were a kid.
Believe it or not, one of my childhood friends, she said, when we were younger, you always said you wanted to play the instrument that the angels played.
Right.
She said, and you will always go boom, boom. And I was like, I usually remember a lot of stuff from when I was a kid.
Okay.
But I didn't remember that. I remember saying I wanted to be a belly dancer.
Right. Watching a lot of I Dream of Jeannie.
Yes. And I actually do know how to belly dance. That's another story. But yeah, it just, like I said, it came about when I had that lavish 50th birthday party for myself.
Right.
And I had a harp player there. And that was what I wanted for my birthday.
But all right, so but let's really dig into this. So all of these things that you do you feel, and I'm making this up on the fly, but do you feel that they could potentially be like you were compensating for something that you didn't have? Do you think there, or that you did have, do you feel like there's some sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Some sort of link or correlation to things that occurred or didn't occur in your childhood to why you like to keep yourself so busy and constantly like do new things?
That's a great question. So what I'm going to say is, well, let's recap a little bit. I'm an only child.
Right.
My mother's only child.
And it was just you, your mom and you.
Right.
Right? No father in the home.
No
Okay.
father in the home.
And for the record, did you have a father figure? Or was it just you and your mom?
I mean, it was people around.
Okay.
It's almost like the village.
Right.
You know who you can take, who's a good role model and who's not.
Correct.
It's like, I don't want to be like Uncle or Mr. So-and-so.
Right.
That's not the type of person I want to date when I get older. But it was, a lot of it was pretty, basically, like, I've always been independent. So it was like having my own mind about things. Like, for instance, my mom was a barmaid.
Okay.
And as a child, I had no business sitting in the bar. But I was in there. And I'm in there, and I'm looking around. I'm observing everything. And so I thought, as a child, when I become an adult, I'm going to smoke cigarettes, and I'm going to party, and I'm going to do this. And I told my mom that, and she said, why? I said, because that's what you do when you become an adult. She said, well, you don't have to. And I thought about that. And I said, you're right. So I don't hang in bars.
Right.
I seen the things that go on in the bar, but I'm like, I don't want no part of that. So when I became an adult, I had my children early, so I was thrown into that realm very early.
Okay.
But basically, I've just always enjoyed doing things,
Okay.
learning new things, keeping myself busy. What do you do when you have all the friends and you're outside, but then when it's raining and you're home by yourself and you're
Right.
only child?
Right.
You have to do things to keep yourself busy.
So you think that it's a combination of things. A, you were only child. When you were in the house, you had to play by yourself, basically.
But I had all the toys in the world.
And then on top of that, back in the 80s, growing up in the 70s, 80s, there was no internet.
No. I had fun with string.
Right.
You know, doing the Jacob's Ladder stuff, you know.
So that enhances your creativity just from being by yourself. It's a whole imagination thing that just goes on, and you learn how to make your own decisions.
So, I guess tying into now as an adult,
Hmm.
I keep myself busy with things that I enjoy doing.
Right.
But I believe also these are some of the things I did as a child. I remember writing plays when I was younger.
Okay.
I remember teaching myself how to play certain songs on the keyboard or the piano. Just getting my hand into different things. So growing up an only child, single parent, I had to keep my children busy with things as well.
Right.
But when my children were outside playing, you know, if the house is clean, dishes done, clothes washed, I need something to do.
With that being said, let's segue into that. You said you had your kids young.
Yes.
Define young. How old were you when you had your first daughter?
18.
You were 18? Okay.
I had 2 kids by the age of 19.
Okay. So they're like back to back.
Back to back.
Same guy?
14 months apart, yes.
Okay.
Same ex-husband. I am not a baby mom. Ex-husband. But
Did
yeah.
you get pregnant in high school?
No.
Okay, so you had graduated already.
Yes.
Okay. But some would say you like your life it didn't even really get to start. Like graduated from high school and boom, motherhood.
Yeah.
Right. Which
Just
some
like
girls
that.
had their baby in high school.
Yeah.
But graduated, boom, motherhood instantly. Did that hamper some things that you may have wanted to do? Were they roadblocks?
Well,
I don't want to call your kids roadblocks, but you know what I mean.
I get what you're saying. So, when I had my children and got a divorce, I rolled my sleeves up because at that point, I knew I was going to be a single parent and raise these children by myself. So, and I also learned I don't have a support system. So, although my mom was there, don't get me wrong, I didn't really have the support system like I needed. Like, for instance, I wanted to go to nursing school.
Okay.
Excuse me. I got accepted into nursing school. 1 year, just a 1 year program. But I had nobody to watch them or take them to daycare or anything. I had no help.
Right.
So I couldn't even go to nursing school.
So
it's like certain things that I wanted to do.
Okay.
But I had nobody to support me. And I'm like, well, it's not like I'm going out here shaking my tail in the club. This is me going to school, sacrificing so that I can get a job, making good enough money to take care of my children alone, and I won't need y'all for anything. Just help me this year with this. No, now I don't need your money. I just need your help with my children.
And people are like, nah, we got things
I couldn't get none of that. So I had to make do,
Got it. So you had to put some stuff on hold to be a mom, basically.
A lot of things.
And on top of that, a single mom.
Single mom. Everything was based around my children.
So your mom was a single mom.
Yeah.
And now you're a single mom.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, with the theme of, say, generational curses, as you call it, do you feel like, how do I put this? Do you feel like that was destined to happen? Or do you feel like, or could you possibly, like, how would you say, like, all right, it was not supposed to happen, but like you're not surprised that it happened because that's how you grew up anyway?
Well, generational curses is something that you actually begin to learn about. I never knew it, but I knew there had to be some type of, there had to be something that you called that pattern.
Right, a pattern, right.
Yeah. So, like, I look at it like this because I listen to a lot of people. So, think about a mother who lived in Section 8.
Okay.
And she has children. Now, they're of age. And instead of encouraging them and pushing them, hey, go to college, go to trade school, do this, they saying, oh, I'm going to put you on the list for Section 8 now.
Right.
And then when their child gets on Section 8 and now they have a child, now So it's like, well, who breaks that cycle?
Right.
Who breaks that? Why do you want to, limit yourself like that? And I was one of the ones, I was like, I'm not doing that.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying that my grandmother was on Section 8 and her mother, her mother or whatever, or anything like that. Well, no. You know what I'm saying. Her daughter, that's what I meant to say, and her
Right.
daughter. But what I am saying is that when I began to see it, that wasn't what I want for me. And if I had gone that route,
Okay.
my plan was, okay, this is to help me, not to keep me at this level, but to help me while I'm here so I can get up here and eventually come off of that or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's how I looked at that. But the generational thing within my family, I noticed is like more like single parent, or even to the effect of just not desiring to have someone, or desiring to have someone in your life, but it's just not working because of whatever. And
So,
but having the mindset, I really don't need this man.
right.
That's not me.
So, with that being said, you were married.
Yes.
Being that you grew up in a one parent household, like I don't know the extent of why you guys broke up. You might want to get into that. You might not. But did you try to fight for it so that your daughters wouldn't be in that same position?
Well, I think the thing with that is, no mother ever wants their children to directly walk in their footsteps.
Okay.
So what I mean by that, I would love for my children to be married, and I'm sure they would have loved to have had a stepfather. But I refuse to believe that that's the cards that for us.
Well, I meant their actual dad. So you guys were all together at one point, and then you got divorced. Was that something that you tried to, in your mind, because you grew up without your dad? Was that something that you were like, I want to fight for this a little bit, or was that a different a different situation altogether?
No, I let that go.
Okay.
Because they say you pick and choose your battles.
Okay.
Sometimes it's like, because you can try to hold the situation together, and it does more harm than good. So I was the type, I said, I don't want to keep this family together just for the sake of saying we have a 2-parent household.
Okay.
It wasn't, no, because I was doing everything. So why do I need you over here if I'm doing everything?
Got it. I could do bad all by myself.
I could do good all by myself too.
I know that's right. Okay. Okay. Now you made a comment saying that you do not value what men say, or you did not value what men said over women due to being raised by one. What do you mean by that? And how does that like govern your life and the choices that you make with males?
So I learned, basically being raised by my mother, I didn't really value what men had to say. So I start noticing in my relationships that, I might ask the guy that I'm dating a particular question.
Example.
And let's see, I can't really give an example.
Where were you last night?
No.
No, that doesn't
So
apply?
this is where I'm going with this.
Okay.
I can ask his opinion on something, and he can say, yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
I can go ask my girlfriends, and they can say, yeah, it's a great idea. I'm not doing the choice because of what he said. I'm doing it because of what they said.
Okay.
And the guys I dated used to get upset. Well, I told you that was a good idea. Why you didn't just listen to me when I said it? Because I wanted a second and third opinion.
Right.
But what I had to gather was, who was I getting those second and third opinions from?
Right.
See, I couldn't see that. Y'all men can see things that we women don't.
Right. And vice versa.
And I needed, true. And I was glad he brought that to my attention, because it made me see within myself, I don't really pay attention to what men say. 10 men can say something and I'll be like, whatever. But one woman say, oh yeah, I'm going with that.
Okay.
And it's like, but y'all all said the same thing. So I began to look into myself, because I can't sit and say, Lord, I want a husband, but I'm not going to listen to him.
Right.
Because, I mean, I don't want that. It might be a third show. But I just want to simply say, we all know how that goes. You know, God here, your husband, then the wife. So if I'm not listening to him, why am I asking for there to be somebody there?
Okay.
If I'm going to do everything and make all the decisions myself, he's
So-
going to feel like he's not wanted or needed.
With that being said, first of all, getting married in the first place is a huge life decision. Was that a knee-jerk reaction of childhood, or is that something you wanted to do as an adult to like stake your independence, or how did that happen in terms of what you were thinking?
I got married to get away from people.
Okay.
I hated the situation that I was living in.
Okay.
I love my mother, but I was tired of feeling like I was just like under her thumb.
Right.
And I just wanted to get away, and I thought that was the best thing to do. But I literally jumped out of the frying pan into the fire.
So many women, especially like 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s era women, got married to get out the house. Like, that's the reason. Like, I somebody like this guy, whatever. He asked to marry me. I'm moving out of the house. So many women have that story where they got married to get out the house, right?
Yeah.
Especially in that day.
I did. But you know, it's like I went from bad to worse, you know, so to speak. And that's why when we got divorced, I was like, "Hey, sayonara. I'm about to do this."
So you found out who he really was after you guys like moved in together, after you married him.
I found out a whole lot.
So you feel like he turned into a different person, like you knew his representative, and then when you got married, everything changed? There was no signs beforehand?
No.
Okay.
The signs I saw was a man that got up and went to work.
Right.
And was saving and doing what he was supposed to do.
Okay.
And when I seen the truth, that wasn't it. It was a whole situation, you know. I didn't know it. I didn't see that. I was too busy over here going to school and you know, and about to have a baby, you know.
Okay.
But what I will say is I seen things early in the game and I got out.
Okay.
You know, and it's crazy because, I mean, I could go on forever with this, but I had other choices when it came down to being married.
All women do.
I had other
All
choices.
women do. For
And,
the record.
you know,
There's never just one guy at your disposal.
you know, I'm like, dag. And even after my divorce, I still had a chance
Right.
with that person. But, you know.
So even with the divorce, again, huge life decision.
That wasn't a hard decision to make.
Okay. But so many women don't get divorced, right?
Yeah.
Or not when they should. Do you feel like personally, did it have to do with your upbringing? Or was it something that, like, you were in that situation as an adult and this is how I roll? Like, did it have to do with, like, a lot, like, situations that happened as a kid?
Right.
And you've been in these similar situations and you knew to get out? I'm saying something like you might have been in the wrong neighborhood and something didn't feel right and you knew to, like, start heading home now. Is that a quality analogy for, like, the situation you were in? Like, was there any, like, type of correlation to your childhood to say, all right, I'm used to this, or I've seen this type of behavior before, or I got some red flags, I see some signs, and I'm out of here? Or was it just different? This is just strictly adulthood situation?
Well, I'm going to say this, because remember, I got married at 18.
Right, you were a child,
now,
basically.
I am 51,
Okay.
and the things that I have seen,
Mhm.
experienced, and learned over the years, definitely I can spot things out. Now, like you said, if you in the neighborhood and you feel something ain't right, let me get out of here. Of course, you know that's your intuition, that's your gut feeling, your hunch, and all of that type of stuff.
Right.
But when it comes in terms of relationships, you know, women sometimes we tend to see those things, and then it's almost like, you know, I know this man is assembly required, but I'm willing to put these work gloves on and go to work and try to help him and change him or whatever. You see them red flags, and it's how we try to work around it. You know, we try to love someone through it.
Okay.
Now, this is funny because when I was younger, I feel like my life is like a reversal. Because you know how they say when you're younger that you have more patience than when you get older?
Okay.
I feel like I'm the total opposite. I feel like when I was younger, I had no patience. And it's probably because guys were so easy to get. It's like, you know, oh, you off. I'm getting rid of you.
Right.
Yeah, that other boy, or whatever. And not so much men per se, but just simply just those choices and the options, and just being able to have to just know right away, nah, I'm out. Whereas though now, it is that much harder when it comes to dating, because there's so many women for each man, and everybody is in competition with one another, trying to outdo the next, where the man just like sitting there like the king.
Right.
You know, and sometimes out of those 6, 7, 10 women, he don't choose none of them. He go get somebody, you know, else. Not to get off the subject, but where I'm going with this is where was I going with this? Where I'm going where I'm going with this is basically, back then I didn't care. Now I have more patience. Whereas though it should have been, you know, when it's almost like when you turn 50. I don't have time for this. I definitely don't have time for that. I don't, but I understand it more. I understand why men or why people do this or why this, and it gives me a little more patience. But I can say the biggest part of that is a lot of prayer.
So would you say that you, maybe not you, but people in general turn into settlers? So you're willing to put up with something that you wouldn't have put up with 30 years ago?
Well, let's just say that I'm no stranger to it.
Okay.
I don't really like to admit that I settled, but I did.
Okay.
I settled.
And a lot of people have.
But you know what? I also find that when a person wants to do, when they want to do right, they gonna do right. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, you know how you can see a gigolo,
Okay.
and you be like, that man ain't never gonna get married. He just gonna forever be a player. And he meet that one woman that he done threw away that player card. He done threw everything away. He go to church now. He done put the cigarettes down. Like, you know, and I'm not going to say that that's all because of her. She could have been a praying woman.
Right.
He could have decided, I don't want to do that no more. But the point that I'm making is just mainly, I settled. I stopped going for the man with the classy car and the wider money and all that kind of stuff. Because I found some of those guys mistreat you.
Right.
That guy working at McDonald's that's breaking his neck and leave from McDonald's to go to Burger King is the one that's treating you like a queen. He might not be able to give you all of that, but he's able to give you those things that somebody that with a selfish, greedy spirit,
Mm-hmm.
they don't recognize that sensitive, that romantic, that loving part of you that you need. I don't need a wad of money. Maybe I just needed your ear to listen to my day.
Right.
Maybe I just needed you to give me a hug because I was going through something.
Okay.
And you think that, oh, let me throw a fur coat. Here, take this money. A gold digger or greedy spirited person, they would love that. But you're always going to have something that's missing.
Okay, got it.
You're always going to have something that's missing.
Now, you mentioned, it's a perfect segue. Let's backtrack into the generational curses, right? I've interviewed other women who talked about women repeaters.
Yeah.
So now I see it's the same language, right? It's like both a Toyota and a Chevy are both cars, right? Women repeaters, generational curses. The history has the tendency to repeat itself.
Right.
Right. Now that you've been an adult for so long, actually, at this point you've been an adult for longer than you were a child. In your adulthood, do you have examples of things that you feel like you've repeated, or things that have happened to you that happened to other women in your family?
Well, one thing I can certainly say is, you know, how they say usually women go after men that are similar to their father.
Okay.
That I'm not trying to do. No shade to my father, but I'm just keeping it real.
Right.
But I found that it seems like I can meet, let's say I done met 3 guys.
Okay.
One of them hardworking, whatever. One of them is tall, light skinned, whatever my preference is, and I'm just using it as an example. Let's say I like tall, light skinned guys or whatever.
Okay.
And I see this tall, light skinned brother, and I'm thinking, he got it, he got it going on. But I find out he got a record, and I ain't talking about no CD record.
Right.
He lived in a gated community.
Right. That's what we gonna call
it. And he just looks good, but he's just settling. His own life is settling.
Okay.
And then we got somebody, a church-going guy who works or whatever. Why does it seem like I would be attracted to the one that is most like my father?
Right. Right.
And then it's like, I mean, and I'm not saying that is me.
Right.
But if I gotta be real and transparent, it was me.
Okay.
A lot of the guys I dated, some of them, was well-to-do, but some of them, I was settling.
Okay.
But whenever I saw that, it's almost like, I don't want that for my daughters. So, I don't tell them who to date, but I just try to say, listen, go for this type of person. Let this person match what you are. But what I will say to you and to everybody that's going to see this video,
right,
I can honestly say that now that I am 51, sometimes I think with the mindset, and I probably shouldn't, but I want this to help somebody. Sometimes I think with the mindset, it's like, I'm 51. I done been there, done that, I done did it. What should it matter now? If this person doesn't have everything, but we have great chemistry or we have fun together, because it's hard to date now. It really is. People are selfish, it's bad. But I know for me, all this that I'm doing, writing books and movies and all of this, why would I want to be with somebody who don't want to do nothing with their life?
Right. At this
But we have fun together. We have great conversation. But I got money and he don't. Or he might have a little bit, And it's like, if I was talking to this boy right here, I know we going on trips, we doing this, we doing that. Why am I not giving him a chance?
Okay.
And I'm still trying to figure that out. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going on in my life right now. I am not going to attest to none of that. But in all actuality, though, I'm really trying to figure that thing out, because that is a generational thing.
Right. In situations where you've settled versus situations where you didn't settle, what was the difference? Like, what's the difference between a relationship or somebody you're dealing with in what you call a settling situation versus a situation where somebody was perfect for you and that didn't work out? But what's the difference in the day-to-day or the overall of the relationship?
You know how you hear people in society saying, you need to be with somebody that matches what you make. He should have this degree. He should be making this amount of money. That's not always the case.
I personally never heard anybody say that, but I know where you're coming from, though.
I hear people say it a lot.
People
I don't know
that.
what men might say, but
Right.
I hear some women say that.
For the record, I would love...
But I've heard some men say it too. And that I ain't gonna get started on that Kevin Samuels. He will not be part of this. But the things that I have heard him say.
So people are saying,
and
like,
I hear people
two people
saying,
together should be making somewhere plus or minus close to each other, or one
I've
of them is
heard
settling.
that.
Interesting.
Yeah, but the part about it is, why should it matter if he's making more or less than me?
It doesn't.
If
So
we're coming
right.
together and we're building and growing together. See, I can't get with that money, with that greed concept. I can't.
So when
Money,
we say settling, we're referring to financially.
I mean, no, it could be settling because somebody can have money, but tearing you up behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Somebody
It could be
could be
religious.
that as
It could be
well.
financial.
Yeah,
It could be um how they live, right?
yeah.
You find out how people live and it's like, whoa.
I think it all boils down to just saying, listen, I have somebody that loves me, or that I have somebody there. So what? He's a slob. So what? He don't have as much money. So what? He's into this crazy religion that just came out yesterday.
Right.
I'm going to settle with him because I know that I can be some. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I can't. Now you already know. When it comes down to religion and all of that, I try not to get into that because my relationship with God is my relationship with God.
Right.
But I know that there's some boundaries that I just won't settle on.
Got it.
I just won't. Like, I love everybody, but I know I'm not going to waste somebody's time if they're studying something different from what I believe. It's going to clash. If somebody says, I'm going to work and go to school, and I'm going to do this, and we can build together. But versus somebody saying, man, I ain't doing nothing. I'm just going to sit here and play PlayStation all day and wing it.
I was about to say that. It might even be a time thing. You could be selling it for that. Like, I wanna be with my guy, but you like this dude, but you only see him like one day a week or something like that. Or he works all day, so you guys never spend any time together anyway.
I had a relationship like that, and shout out to Soldier. He lived in Louisiana.
Really? Long distance?
But when I tell you, I never had a chance to miss him.
Okay.
Because we always talked. He was always sending flowers. He always took off and came to Philly and stayed there, for a week or two,
Okay.
versus some guys that might live 10 minutes away and say, well, I couldn't come to see you because I-95 was too crowded. Like,
Right.
Are you serious? So I'm not worth ride on a 10-minute ride that might turn into 20 minutes because it's traffic.
You can't sit in the traffic
Versus
for
somebody that's paying $300 or $400 round trip to take a 2-hour flight to come visit me and still come and spend money.
me. Right.
Like, come on.
So that's what it is. Like, I think there it is. Like, I want a man who feels like I'm worth sitting in traffic for. Boom. Boom.
And that's just smidgens, small part of it. But I mean, listen, I settled. That's why I made the movie.
Okay.
That's why I wrote the book.
Let's get into that.
Woo.
So three books. So first of all, let's knock the children's book out the way. What made you write? First of all, what's the title of it? What made you write it? What was the your inspiration behind that?
So this is Mr. Yerbert's Garden.
Okay.
People ask, well, how did you get the name Yerbert? If you remember Bill Cosby show,
Right.
and he would do the
Oh, with Rudy. Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
the
right.
Zerbert.
The Zerbert. Right.
I always thought that was the cutest. So I didn't want to get sued. So I said, well, we'll say Zerbert, we'll say Yerbert.
Okay.
So Mr. Yerbert's Garden. And, I had the pleasure of reading this book to children at a school
Right.
about 2 weeks ago. And they had character day.
Okay.
So, of course, I love children. They wanted a princess, and that's what they got.
You dressed up as a princess?
Yeah, I
Okay.
sure did. I
Okay.
put a gown on and a tiara and the whole nine.
What's it about?
So this book is about a man in his garden. Oh, actually, I'll read. This book is a fictional children's book about a man who loves his garden
Okay.
and a pesky raccoon who has a secret. So, there you go.
Okay, got it. What made you write it?
My mother.
Really?
She always wanted to write children's books.
Seriously?
She did.
Oh, so this
She
is a
always
direct
wanted-
reflection of your childhood.
She always wanted to write children's books, and she never did.
Okay.
So, in that settling relationship that I was in,
Right.
there was a lot of good in it.
Okay.
So we're not going to say that it was all bad.
All bad, right.
But what I will say is one part of that relationship is that I noticed that, like, for instance, some people might think it's kind of weird, but someone saying, can you just freestyle a bedtime story?
Okay.
Some women might be like, this grown man want me to read him a bedtime story? But I looked at it like, okay, when you in love, you do stuff like that.
Okay.
But who knew that me just freestyling a book, just freestyling a story out of the clear blue, I'm like, yo, I'm going to make that into a real book.
Right, we got something here.
And there you have it.
And so that's how the stuff happens organically like that. When it's not planned, right, by accident. That's how Facebook blew up. It wasn't supposed to, they didn't plan for it to do that. It was just something that they were doing for the heck of it. And it blew. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got the children's book. Mm-hmm. Then you wrote your your first book was Tears of an Only Child.
Yes, this book right here. This is the book that goes into my childhood, infancy, all the way up to adulthood.
Okay.
Basically tells the entire story of my life. Not every nook and cranny, but enough for you to know a lot about me.
The fact that you even did it, a lot of people were like, yo, you need to write a book. People, it's like something cliche that we say all the time. You actually did it.
I kept hearing people say it, but then it was therapy. I've never seen a counselor.
Right.
But this was counseling because it was very therapeutic. It's times I wanted to put this book down and not write it because at certain points in my life, I didn't want to remember.
Right.
I didn't want to, I didn't want to go back into my childhood of, like if I, when a family member touched me or said something to me or being chased by the homeless people.
Right.
I didn't want to think back to certain times back then. But those things made me who I am now. But I didn't want to touch on it. I certainly didn't want to talk about my mom when she was going through her bout with cancer.
Right.
Like I put the book down. It was too much. Even like right now, we're coming up on the death date of my mom passing.
Okay.
So, March and April are just not good months for me.
Got it.
But, I push through and persevere. But I did these books because it was therapy, but it was also the main focus to help somebody.
Okay.
Help somebody.
And I appreciate you saying that. You know how many people I've talked to about Kids Don't Forget, any interviews. So we have that physical people who did the interviews and others who want to interview. And then we have people who have told me, Khalid, I'm still dealing with my childhood right now. Like right now. I have kids and I'm still dealing with my childhood. So I don't want to do an interview. Right? To your point of wanting to put it down, it's like people who don't even want to talk about it because the things that I'm learning that have happened to all of us, so many things that we suppressed, that we haven't thought about in years, and we put them away for a reason, right? So in some cases it's therapeutic, in other cases it's traumatic to have to bring something back up that I put away, we left the past in the past, and it's nobody's business, and I don't even want anybody to know, right? So many situations where I'm actually proud of you, man, to actually put everything in writing that you could remember off the top of your head and just go with it and actually like finish the book and put it out. That takes a lot of courage, a lot of courage.
One thing I'll say about the generational curse thing,
mm-hmm.
When you deal with something from your childhood and you suppress it and leave it alone, it will haunt you in your adulthood.
Please believe me.
It will haunt you in your adulthood, and you'll see it in your children. And they may experience that same thing. But what you going to do? if your child has been touched and you've been touched, but you suppress it, you put it away, and now you find out your child has been touched. How do you deal with that? Because now you have to bring that out, you know. But not only that, like in order to deal with any problem, you got to go to the root. The root is childhood. The root is that thing that you push far away. And I think that's one of the reasons that it's hard. It's hard to date nowadays.
Right.
Because so many people will not deal with issues that stem from childhood.
You know what's crazy? It's throughout history. There's millions of kids who got treated a certain way because the adult in their life, could be their mom or their dad, reminded them of someone. So if you had a bad experience with my father and I look just like my dad and I act like him, then my mom and I didn't have a good relationship growing up because I reminded her of my dad. She had kids by another man, treated them like angels, and I was the black sheep. But I'm not saying me personally. I'm saying that there's so many situations like that.
That happens.
Right. With girls, boys, you never know. As a daughter, you might remind your mother of some girl who treated her bad when she was a kid, or one of her ex-boyfriends, and now like in some situation she treats you a certain way because something triggered in her upbringing. It's so ironic.
Yeah, I mean, I try to protect my children at every cost.
Okay.
From everything.
Okay.
I didn't want them to know what it was like growing up in a house that, had no heat. And I mean, this is the stuff that happens, but I didn't want them to know those things. They have to experience those things, to have to go into survival mode. I don't want to survive. I want to live.
To know how to struggle.
Yeah, I talked about the syrup sandwich.
Right.
My granddaughter, like she said, that gives poor vibes. Not realizing that I ate syrup sandwiches when I was younger.
Right.
But I didn't do it because we didn't have food. I did it because I like the taste of syrup on the sandwich.
For the record, I've never had a syrup sandwich.
You never had a syrup sandwich?
No. So what you put Aunt Jemima on bread or Wonder Bread? And just
I prefer log cabin. I prefer log cabin. Don't you put no Cairo syrup or Aunt Jemima on mine. I like log cabin. If we didn't have log cabin, okay, Aunt Jemima. And then like Miss Butterworth's. But no, my great-grandmother kept food.
Right.
I never was hungry.
Right.
So a syrup sandwich to me was because I liked the taste of it.
Right.
It wasn't because we was poor. So I was trying to explain that to my granddaughter, but the thing that I'm saying is like, now when there were times that we didn't have food.
Okay.
My mom, and I was very hungry. We ain't had no syrup or bread,
Right.
But the point that I'm making is like, far as my children, it's times that we didn't have food. But I had to humble myself and go around the corner or wherever that they was giving away food at and go and get it.
Okay.
But I was determined. When I learned about generational curses, it was being broken. It was not continuing. My children would not experience this, that, and the other. Now, I can't do nothing about their dating life.
Right.
I pray all the time, Lord, give him a husband, a good stepfather for my grandchildren. My children will tell you in a minute, I grew up without a father. So if my mom got married today or tomorrow, he's just basically he's her husband. He ain't my dad.
Right.
We went this long without one. Why do we need one now? That kind of bothered me.
Okay.
And made me feel like I kind of failed as a mother because they should have had somebody there. It may have helped them to not make mistakes, or it might have helped them when it came down to the choices they made for, a boyfriend or someone that they had a child by, or just even who they may be dating now or whatever,
Because they would see it. They would see how a man, whether it be their dad or whomever, treats their mother. that affects a lot of your decision making going forward.
I saw something.
For the record, I never saw my dad hit my mom ever, and I've never hit a female that I was dealing with ever. Like no girl could say I gave her a black eye or a busted lip or whatever. Blah blah blah. Like I've never even wanted to. For me personally, like the girl that I'm dealing with, I don't want her to have a black eye. How's that attractive to me personally? Like that lasts for like a month. Like I don't know. I guess because my dad, that I could say about him. He was not a woman beater. I've never desired to really like beat up a girl that I'm dealing with. That's never been the way I enter. Like some guys just haul off and start like teeing off on her. I seen dudes kick their girl in the stomach. Dudes like physically beating them up. And now with video, now that everything's on video, we're starting to see it. Like, dude, you really just did that to, she's a girl. Like, what are you doing? I've never been that guy. And that might be a reflection of what I saw growing up, which was I never saw my dad hit my mom, ever.
And see, when I started learning about how the women were in my family,
okay,
that's why I needed to stop it right then and there. Because my daughter saw me pick up a knife, go after my ex-husband.
Okay.
Not once, and maybe not even twice.
Okay.
But she seen me, and she was young.
Right.
And the look on her face, that fear, that terror, like, I don't want that for my child. That's traumatic. I don't know if that's affecting her right now. Because
she definitely has that image. You don't forget that image.
Yeah.
Right.
I know I've seen my mom do some things, and an image is still in my head. But, it was at that point when I picked that knife up and seen my daughter, that's all I thought of. Like, screw you. Let me go deal with my kid.
Right.
Like, but then I start finding out the women in my family were fighters. They fought their men.
Right. Right.
And I can tell you now, it's in the book. I'm not going to tell you. But what I will say is, I'm not about that life.
Right.
But I've had more run-ins and fights and physical situations with men than with women.
Wow. Now, does that segue into the Falling in Love with the Devil book?
This right here is... let's just say, we made a movie out of that.
Right.
Okay.
That's how crazy it was.
Yeah.
Give us some background. Like, what high level? What is it about?
Falling in Love with the Devil is really it's a love story. Really.
Okay.
It's about dating someone that is dealing with mental illness.
Okay.
And the domestic abuse part came with the verbal and the emotional. If you're narcissistic and you only care and love yourself,
right,
it's all about me, you cannot, you're incapable of loving anybody else other than yourself.
Okay.
You can show this person love, but I started studying narcissism.
Okay.
And there's levels to that.
How do you study it?
I went on YouTube.
Okay.
But I learned so much. Like, how they love bomb you.
What's a love bomb?
Love bomb is just, everything is, oh, I just love you. I love you. You're beautiful. I love you. Every minute of the day, they're dropping love bombs on you. They are. It's like dropping bombs. Boom, I love you. I love you. And as women, we want to hear that. You dropping love bombs, and then you catering, and baby, let me get this for you. You just, it's like, and it's a hoovering method. Like a vacuum cleaner. Right. So you're love bombing me.
Sucking me in.
And you hoovering me in.
And then you backhand me. Right.
Basically.
And then immediately after the backhand, and I got a black eye, I love you, I love you, I love you.
Whoa. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Some things is to that extent. For the record, not me. Not me. But somebody. This thing is emotional because they begin to attack you. They begin to berate you. They begin to just say everything horrible under the sun.
Right.
We could wake up and be having a beautiful day. And all of a sudden, like that, it changes. But then they leave you. They'll just walk away from you with no explanation whatsoever. Won't take your phone call, won't take anything.
Right.
And you wonder, what happened? What did I do?
Which we call ghosting now.
That's exactly what it is.
Right.
And then now you're calling, you're texting, and they see it. And it's feeding their ego because it's like they love to see that.
Okay.
Because you're in pain. They want to see you in pain. It's like they want to hurt you in the worst way possible.
So what made you want to... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And when I began to see this, I was like, wow. The crazy part about it is when they leave. So in a woman's mind, we think he just stepped off,
mm-hmm.
and he's seeing somebody else. But no, that's a victim.
Got it.
So now he's on to the next victim, doing all of that stuff that he did. So about 3 or 4 months done went by. Now all of a sudden he comes back. He's done with her. He's coming back to me now.
Right.
And I'm wondering, and he's coming back with full vengeance. You know, the flowers, the everything to hoover me back in again.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, look at it. It's deep.
So what made you want to turn this into a movie? Like, how did that whole thing happen?
So, when the book came about,
okay,
I kept having this vision that I was in a movie theater.
Okay.
But when I seen the people in the movie theater, they all had this book. This is the only book I saw in their hand.
Okay.
And I had that dream 2 or 3 times. So I figured I must need to turn that into a movie.
Got it.
And then one thing led to another. Next thing I know, I'm like, all right, Lord, how? How are we going to turn this into a movie?
Okay.
Next thing I know, I get a call. Hey, I want you to be in this film. Hey, I want you to be in this play.
Right.
So now I'm networking, I'm meeting people.
Okay.
I'm like, that's how the movie going to get done. Because this person is going to do it.
Okay.
So I start setting it up. And by me being in different movies and plays, I'm meeting people. So
right.
now I'm saying, that person would be perfect for this.
Okay.
My co-star is the bomb. Shout out to Sterling Calhoun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sterling. Okay.
No, we work so great together.
So
my gosh.
Is the filming completed?
The filming is, yeah. So everything is complete. It's in editing phase.
Okay. Got it.
And
you mentioned earlier that you guys are already talking about the sequel?
I done already made the sequel. The sequel is done.
It's done. Wow.
I just need the money to film.
Okay.
But it's done.
Okay.
Once I get the money, we can start rehearsing, start filming.
Oh, let's go. Let's go, Tam. Okay.
That's all that's the only holdback is the money. But other than that, that joint is done.
Okay.
And ready.
And there's so many avenues, like the economic roadblocks that occur. We'll figure something out around them, and hopefully, the people who see this interview chump in. Anything helps. $1, $5, $100, whatever it is.
Listen, and it's under. We can keep it under 5,000.
I know that's
Anything more is a blessing, but just to make this dream come true, because the first project is done.
Right.
But I don't want to rush the second project.
Got it.
But I do want it to get done because the films are phenomenal.
Okay.
But it's not just the films being phenomenal. It's the mere fact that I put my life on screen.
Right.
And I acted in it. Matter of fact, let me take that back. I put my life on screen, and I did everything naturally in it. There was no acting in that movie. I played myself. I did me.
So how are people going to view it?
We're working on that, but prayerfully, Peacock, Tubi, Netflix, however. Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't gotten to that point yet, but when we do, I'll let you know. But as of right now, the main goal and the reason why I did this is because I want to help people.
Okay.
I want to help people. I want people to see my story. I want people to see the red flags. I want people to not ignore, not settle, not allow yourself to go through these things, because it tears you up, but it tears your family up.
Got it. So you want to help people. Why do you care? Why do you care that you are like giving people an outlet to see how people are?
I care because I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I'm a role model, I am a woman.
Okay.
I care because I know how I felt. Everybody's not strong enough to come out.
Correct.
And go through. Wow, the Lord had his hand over my life and I was never hit by this person, but the blows of the things that he said to me, you know, how do you tell somebody, I hope you die like your mother did?
Right.
Like, how do you tell somebody, you know, when your family got shot at, it should have been you that got killed? For no reason whatsoever, and you being good to this person. How do you do that? And then they turn around and say, I'm sorry, that I did that. You know, this movie was very emotional.
Okay.
And just going over the sequel with my co-star, very emotional.
Got it. When should we be expecting it?
Hopefully in about a month.
Okay. There it is. Tam.
Filming for the sequel, I hope we can do it in July.
Okay.
Just got to get that money up, but.
Got it. Tam, we appreciate you coming through. Thank you.
Man, this was something. I appreciate you having me come back. I hope that this interview helps somebody, and I hope that I just hope they enjoy it.
Falling in Love with the Devil. You can get the book, and the movie is coming.
And is everybody able to see the teaser? We did a teaser trailer.
Right.
There's no that you can't hear what is being said, but the actions show you exactly what's what.
Got it.
And it is just that, a teaser.
Okay, got it.
Let me tell you about somebody. She's a hottie and she's pretty with a lot of body. I know you know who I'm talking about, babe. So stop playing, let me take you there. You know the places in your mind that you seem to care. Don't play around and miss this opportunity, babe.
Got it. Tam, thank you for coming through. We appreciate it.
You're welcome so much. Thank you for having me.